Tonight on Game Night, Nikki, Candice, Mike, Lincoln, and myself, Dave, are not going to teach you anything or play anything. Because we're going to talk about the 2022 nominees for the Spiel des Jahres and the Kennerspiel as well. If you haven't seen those games, there's Game Night videos for them. You probably have played some of them anyway. So come join us. We're going to talk about it. All right, before we talk about the 2022 Spiel des Jahres nominated games for the Kennerspiel as well as the main SDJ, if you have not seen videos for any of these games, there are most assuredly links below my very speaking head right now, down here, to all the various Game Night videos for these 6 games. And if you've watched those and you've come back, or if you're just still here and you don't care, we're going to talk about Living Forest, designed by Aske Christensen and published by Ludonaut. Cryptid, from Hal Duncan and Ruth Vevers from Osprey Games. Dune Imperium is by Paul Denon and comes from Direwolf. That's the Kennerspiel. Over here on the SDJ, Cascadia, Randy Flynn, and AEG. Top 10, I can't read that.
Aurelian Picolet.
Thank you, Aurelian Picolet. Cocktail Games, and Kai, Kajino, Scout, and Oink. And Mike is going to pick a game and start us off.
Yeah, let's start with Cascadia for 2022. So
Okay.
I really love this game. I think that it's channel Splendor, because Splendor got robbed by Camel Up a couple of years ago. So that's why I feel like this is the game that if Splendor should win, this might actually win. I think the scoring is interesting. It might be too complex for families, but there is a family scoring rule. So there's a solo version, there's a family version, there's a regular version. I think there's also a gaming version. There's a lot of theme. The art is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot going on in the game. So the item I have is downtime. So I play this again with my family, and we play Yahtzee a lot, which has a lot of downtime. So my question for you guys is the downtime in Cascadia a problem?
I don't know.
I kind of feel it's got... I mean, it's not that bad. We played with Aaron, who does not want to... he's one of those guys that doesn't want to make a bad play. If he can... He likes to puzzle it out. That's his joy from that stuff. And he actually spent a good amount of time thinking about it. But it wasn't terrible, right? I don't feel it's that bad.
Okay.
But it isn't happening simultaneously, which is unfortunate, and we were talking about some of that after the fact, like what we would do to try to speed it up. But it's not terrible.
Yeah. I'm not sure there's anything you can do to speed it up.
Right. Well, you have to wait for them to choose what they're going to take, and
it's not like Carcassonne. It's not like some of the other games.
Yep.
Like a little like Splendor. It's also not like.
Well, what do you think of that one, Nikki P?
Well, as far as downtime, I didn't really have a problem with it, because I was trying, like, if this one's taken, what would I play? And if it isn't taken, I'll play that one, number 1, and there's my number 3 play, and that sort of thing. So I didn't really have a problem with that.
Cool.
I enjoyed the game. It's fun, but I didn't think that it was something that was like, oh my gosh, this is groundbreaking, brand new stuff. I don't know if every game at this point needs to be that in order to be nominated.
Last year's
Yeah.
Paleo was such a neat,
Paleo was really interesting
system.
and neat.
Yeah. Okay.
But I did feel like it wasn't something new. Now, it's perfectly fine game, and if you are new to the hobby and you don't want to go 10 years back, you want to play whatever is the new game, that is great for new to the hobby, and it has a lot of mechanics in it that are good mechanics to know for other games and moving further into the hobby. So as far as that goes, it's good for that reason, and it's a solid game. It's just that it's nothing that I haven't seen before.
Understood.
Candice?
Yeah, I've only played Cascadia once, and it was almost a year ago, so it's not super fresh, but I do remember liking the art and components and thinking it was a decent game that I'd be happy to kind of play. But I think, like you're saying, Nikki, nothing stood out to me as like, oh, I need to go buy this game, or I can't wait to play it again. It almost gave me some, I don't know if anyone's played Barren Park, but it gave me some Barren Park vibes. But I liked it. I liked the components a lot, and it would be something that I'd be happy to sit down and play with anybody, but it was just something I didn't feel like I needed to own.
Sure. Well, the funny thing about this is you said Splendor on this one, but you know what I think this game feels like to me is...
King Domino?
No. Cartographers. So Cartographers has these changing, things that change what the scoring is.
Yes.
And it feels like it's kind of like Cartographers, the board game in a way. And I like a lot of elements in this game, but my biggest frustration is you can change certain things, but you can't change other things. Like you can, I want to take this tile with this animal, and, it's like, if you're not getting what you need for the terrain tiles, it's rough.
Yes.
And the other thing that I think, because I think the game's fun. I actually had a really good time with it. I don't think the art is as amazing as everybody else seems to think, because everything else about it is great, but when you look at the land tiles, there's confusion. Because like when you have the water next to snow, mountains, the water edge line looks like the mountains. And so you get this weird distortion that you think that it's... Now, have you played it more times, you won't have that problem, but Nikki absolutely had that problem several times in the game.
When I was referring to the art, I was talking about the art, not the graphic design. I agree. The graphic design is a little rough. It definitely can be improved.
Yeah,
so I want to make a
distinction. I think it's a cool game. Now you said it might be a little hard. I agree with you. There's a lot of other there's ways to play this game that makes it more family friendly. But I feel it would win the award if it was in the Kennerspiel for sure.
Cascadia?
Yes, because I feel that it's a great game though, in that it will grow with your family if you keep playing it,
sure,
right? And you learn more stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel that it would be a slam dunk in this category. But I still think it's actually got a good chance. It's. I don't know. This is a strange year. Well, we'll get into that more. Let's go on to the next part.
Cascadia is one of the two games, that I have not played from this batch. The other one being Dune Imperium. But I did watch this Game Night video all the way through. Something, by the way, I don't do very often.
Right.
And it's funny you said that, because it does have that thing. It's not just that the player right before you can take the tile that you wanted and make you recalibrate your turn. It's that the new things that come in and replace it can also really recalibrate your turn.
Yes.
So it seems unlike other games that are similar in feel to this, be it Cartographer or Splendor or King Domino, or however you pronounce that game.
Yeah, it's King Domino.
Those games feel like you can still make your choice somewhat in advance and kind of have an idea of what you're doing, and the backup your backup plan doesn't require you to fully back up, slightly pun intended, to start your thinking over from the beginning.
That's why I'm saying.
It looked fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think the downtime is okay for families. You can talk, you can go get drinks.
Sure.
And I think that comes back to the interaction. But I think for other people that say, "Oh yeah, I can't wait until I take my turn," is that. Yeah, that can be a little bit of an issue there.
All right, well, let's stay with this side. Candice, between the other two, pick one and start us off.
I'll pick Scout, because Scout,
She was very excited about it in September, in August. You were so excited about that one.
Yeah, so I had a friend who I thought was going to be going to the gathering, who I said, "Oh, what have you been playing?" And he said, "Hey, if I was going to go to the gathering, I would bring this game, Scout." And I ended up going on Amazon.jp to get a copy of it.
Co.jp.
And prior to that, I was in love with Cascadia, which I think is called Delt, the US version.
Yeah.
And then Scout kind of took what Cascadia was doing, but flipped it on its head a little bit. And
Dave talked about that in our video for this.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, totally. That's okay.
Great minds think alike.
No, nothing to apologize for.
But that, it just, I had already loved that game, and then now Scout comes into the picture, and I just fell in love with it, and I would just play it, teach it to other people. Other people got hooked on it. I think it has some really fun, interesting choices with, deciding whether or not, you don't always have to scout just because you have to. You might strategically want to scout. So I think it's just a really solid, ladder climbing game.
Yes, it's like a climbing game. It's a shedding game.
Yeah,
It's a trick-taking game. It's got all these
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. am torn because I actually sort of prefer the other version of the game, but I think that the theme and stuff is for this one's very fun. I think they did a really great job with it. I mean, it's silly. I mean, I love Circus Vocati, so this will be just another game that I play in the circus. It'll be my circus game day. But I really love the game. We actually had a crazy game on the show we played where we couldn't get. We took almost all the tokens.
Yeah.
We were like having.
No one could go out.
We couldn't go out. It was
really
insane.
great.
It was really.
great.
You know, and
Great.
Dave's capable. So if Dave can't go out, you know you're in trouble because this guy's the best at card games, and it was a real challenge. And that one actually had the weirdest in our play that we couldn't like match up things as a group.
Yeah.
We were all having troubles. You know, and part of that is because you flip the cards over. So it's actually a different hand of cards than it is in the other direction. And so it's not the same as like Tichu, where everybody has those cards. If you have a bunch of straights, other people likely have straights as well.
Right.
So it just depends on how strong your straight is, and maybe it gets past to you that might change that. But it's really awesome.
So I think if you like the trick-taking ladder games, I think Scout there's a lot going for it. And I'm looking at it for an SGJ, looking at it from that point of view, and I don't think it doesn't meet, when I'm comparing it to the other games, it doesn't meet its match.
How dare you, sir?
I know. This is not my type of game to begin with,
Right.
and
I
think it's frustrating. Like I'm usually frustrated when I play it. If I make mistakes, it's hard to take the mistakes back by accident. And I think that the scoring. So I look at it like if I'm a family and let's say I'm a bridge, hearts, or spades player, could I play this game and would I be satisfied with it?
Right.
And I don't think you are. I think when you meet those qualifications, I think this game is good. But I'm comparing it to the other games, and I don't think it meets the match this.
Right.
Well, I'm not gonna too strongly disagree with you because I mean I guess those are actually. I could see those as being valid points, but spoiler alert: this is my favorite of the 6.
Of course.
I love this game for all the reasons
great,
that Candice said. It just it hits all the sweet spots for me, and I also love that it comes in a little teeny box.
Yeah.
I think the Oink, as much as the original version is cool, I like that the Oink version has scoring tokens.
Yeah, yeah.
So you don't need
I agree.
paper and
No paper.
pencil.
I agree. It's a great production.
The cards are just fun to hold because they're sort of an odd shape. They're like, even that's like slightly different, and everything about Scout is fantastic.
Look, I can have a blast playing this with my mom and my nephew, and then I can have a blast playing it with my hardcore gamer friends.
Right.
There's a lot in that little box.
Yeah. Nikki?
I enjoyed the game, and I love trick-taking games and all of that kind of stuff. So this works for me. It can be frustrating. It really is hard to. If you get a not so great hand, it's difficult. It's difficult to fix that. And in a lot of trick-taking games, you can kind of work your way out of it or around it or something. This one is a little
you kept getting stuck wanting the card in the middle.
Yeah.
Because of the way the game works, you can only take a card when you scout.
That happens all the time, though. That's
I know.
one of those Murphy's Law things that just
Well,
happen.
we were playing with Nick Murphy, and that was probably the reason why it was so bad.
Yeah.
So, in my case, I felt that none of the cards mattered to me. Whenever I was scouting, I was just taking the least worst choice, and that was just that play because I played at BGG Con and had like one game where I just dominated, like every round. I'm like, okay, boom, boom, and it was just like. I was lucky that I was getting what I wanted. I would be, is that card going to be there for me? Oh, yes, perfect. And then, and I love that you're pulling the stuff out of your hand and then resetting the hand.
That part's great.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like, it has like a tiny bit of bonanza in there, because of the hand management. But then you're allowed to take things out and you're allowed to put single cards in and all that stuff. I actually, even though it's painful, I really love I'm going to look at the cards this way. Okay, is it any better this way?
Yeah.
This is terrible too. Oh my gosh, what do I do with these?
Yeah.
But that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I also think that that's exciting to me when I get a hand and I'm just like, what am I going to do with this?
Yep.
And then I'm like, if I insert that there, or if I play this now, then I make this happen. And, so that's like a cool little puzzle. That, a bad hand is like an opportunity.
I love that you guys love this game. You guys are so I'm excited because
we'll play it over and over and over and over without you.
Perfect.
You're the first person that I've actually talked to that doesn't like it.
Yeah. No.
He doesn't dislike it.
No.
Yeah.
Let's play something else.
All right.
Yes.
Moving on.
Dave?
All right. Well, that leaves top 10. The sort of co-op-y party game, which was really cool. It was top 10 to me is interesting because that's like a lot of party games. I felt like what was great about top 10 was the main idea of trying to figure out what a 4 value answer versus like what a 6 value answer is was fantastic. And in a weird way, and I think you probably like this too, it's similar to Scout. Only in that it's a puzzle to solve in a way, right? Like it's like a weird puzzle to solve. But I also feel like it has that party game thing where it is definitely group dependent that you're playing with, right?
Yes,
like we love the mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And some people genuinely do not like the mind.
Sure,
Yeah.
For perfectly understandable reasons. And I don't think top 10 is as harsh as that.
Right.
But I could see people going like, like not enjoying the idea of trying to find that sweet spot.
I mentioned in the video that we played with it, that I played at the con with a family of people, friends and family, I think, that I didn't know. And it was fun. It was actually fun to see their reaction and try to fit in like the right answers that worked for that group and stuff. And it was great. It's a really solid game. I'm torn. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I actually think it might, of the 3, I actually think it might be the best of the 3 for non-gamers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which might be what they want. Like,
Right.
you know, I mean, I can absolutely understand why they nominated it.
Yeah, Nikki P.
Okay. Well, but for that answer, I feel like just about any party game is good for non-gamers. Okay? So
That's true.
now there's better party games than other party games. But
Well, true.
I just, to me, it seems like, yeah, of course, a party game is a gateway game
that's true.
for families.
That's true.
Having said that, however, I do really like the game. It is a lot of fun. I like the mind element of it and trying to gauge, like, well, what does he mean he's a 5 and I'm a 6, or is he a 4 and I'm the 6? I mean, or is he the 7 and I'm the 6? It's kind of, that is a lot of fun to kind of try to figure out people's, I guess you could say, their hints in a way, right? Because they're kind of informing you of where you are most likely in the breakdown of the numbers. And the questions are fun and funny, and some of them are ridiculously dumb, but some of them are really like, wow, how do I even answer this?
Right.
I don't even know, because for me, it would be this, that, and the other thing, but for that other person, they don't think the same way I do, or they're not in on that joke that I have with my close circle of friends or something like that.
Right.
So there's that going on in that game too. But it is fun, and it is a little bit more than just a party game, ha ha ha, because there's some thinky, and I do appreciate party games that have a little bit more going on with them, that you follow the rules, and the rules actually make the party game a good party game versus party games where it's just like, this is a list of questions and it's going to make everybody laugh and the rules are secondary.
Right.
Mike, what did you think of top 10?
I love top 10. I think it's a really fun party game. I'm a little sad that So Clover did not get nominated.
Yeah, me too. That's, I was waiting for my chance to say exactly that.
Great minds think
Yeah,
alike.
that's right.
So if I'm looking at the jury, I think they look at top 10 and So Clover, and I think they pick the more gateway or more family-friendly games. So Clover's a little more thinky. This is a little easier. And I also compare it to Wavelength. I think this is a little more streamlined. I think there's some rules boundaries we talked about. I think the game is good. I think it's really fun. I think those hard decisions between the 4, 5s, and 6s are really good. My family enjoyed it. I enjoy this. I'm ready to play this again.
Nice.
It's really good.
Yeah, I'm equally as excited about top 10. since the first game that I played, I said the same thing. I said it felt like a blend of the Mind and Wavelength to me. But I don't know. I like it. Like, you know, I love Just One. I love So Clover, but this game has me excited. You know, I want to get a copy. I want to, like, you know, when I have those friends, a big group of friends over, I want to introduce people to this. I had a blast playing it. I think, I love the challenge of, you know, when you have those numbers where, again, we have, like, maybe you have a 3, you have a 4, you have a 5, and trying to come up with these clues are based on what other people are doing. I think that's really cool. I think it's really cool. It's going to be really cool when you play with people you know, because obviously you can kind of tuna fish, play to what they know and what you know about those people. But it's also probably really fun to play with strangers, like you got the opportunity to do, just to see how people.
You just made me think of something. So you know what Top 10 does better than So Clover and Just One? What? It has a scoring system that I care about. You know, when we played Just One, for example. We don't even keep score.
Yeah,
right?
I never keep score.
Right. There are rules. Yeah. There are rules to a scoring system in that.
Just play.
We just sort of play it as a party game activity, which is great. Yeah. And the same thing for So Clover. So Clover sort of has a scoring system, but when you play So Clover, you're just trying to get it. Right. And if you miss, then you can either get one miss or you can house rule it and go, okay, throw a card out for us now. You mean you can do it whatever you want.
Well, I mean, it has a legitimate scoring system.
But this one was like, I want to save those unicorns. I'm genuinely invested in saving those unicorns, and that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you all. I think Top 10 is a great game. I was waiting for, I really like So Clover. I think the game's really solid. It is a deduction game in a party game kind of thing that I think is very strong. And I love the, I love deduction games, and we're going to get to this one in a minute. We'll get to talk about it. But I felt that this is a deduction game too, because you're trying to figure out what's happening with people and where it's at. And I do think that I love, as I said in the video, I love being in the extremes because I have fun just thinking of the extremes answers. But it is fun and challenging to be in the middle. Eric actually ran over and got me to show me this game at in Nuremberg in 2020, and I was like, wow, but it completely went out of my head. Like, we didn't have it, we didn't see it, and then when we finally got to play it, I was Christoph, who's been on the show, had told me about the game, and I'm like, wow, I want to play that because I really love Wavelength. I think Wavelength is really, really cool, and I think that this is probably a better game than Wavelength, even though I mean, Wavelength is just a beautiful game in general, just components and everything.
Yeah, well, the spin, the dial, the whole thing.
The box cover is gorgeous, but this is like a more successful version of that in my mind.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah,
it did what Scout did to Cascadia.
Yeah, for sure.
Top 10, I think.
It's really amazing, and I cannot wait for it to be out in English. I want to play with a very well translated, it doesn't even have to be translated, just a great set of questions.
Right.
We have played this where there's been a few like, wow, this is not a great question. I mean, and that may be based on group too, I mean, I just felt some of them were kind of inappropriate, but it is a translation. It may even be, I think the stuff we had is actually from the French. And, the French are just a different culture than us. They So I'm very excited for the version to come out soon.
I'm excited. I think they're going to do the localization great. I think they're going to fix something. Top 10 is going to be hard to Google.
I just hope they have the poo and the unicorn.
Oh my gosh, not great. Yeah,
I searched Top 10 in my email.
Yeah, it's a hard thing.
And boy, I have so many emails about Top 10, and it was insane. So I was like, good luck.
I'm hoping they change the name.
Oh, I think the name's good.
This will be a great one to take camping.
Absolutely.
Also.
Yes.
Ingenious supplies.
All right, we're going to move from here.
Yep.
We're going to move over to here to the Kennerspiel games. Nikki, why don't you pick one and start us off?
Oh, me?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to go with Cryptid.
Okay.
I like that game. I really had fun with it. I really liked the way it worked visually to figure out where this Cryptid was on the map. was really fun for me. I don't know. It clicked for me. It worked. I liked it. It was a different way of doing
A deduction
game that I hadn't seen before.
Right.
You know, with the marking of the territory, and you're looking at a board instead of a list, and it's all visual. And there's so many scenarios and where the monster can be. And I think the thing that really, which has, like, it's not with the gameplay itself, but I'm like, how did they sit there and figure out all these scenarios that end up pointing to the exact right place? I mean, clearly, you know, it can be done, but it still is like boggles my mind. Like, how do you have a set of questions that go from map to map to map to map and work?
Right.
It's like insane. But I really, I had so much fun playing this
well,
game.
you really did well in the game we played with Scott.
One time the other times I haven't done it so great. But
it's, for me, I think I mentioned it in the video, I think the game's great. I think it's really fun. My brain, and I'm a visual brain, it's hard for me.
Yeah.
We talked about playing with the list, and they mentioned that you can actually make notes and stuff like that, and we decided not to play that way when we played the game. And watch that video. It goes a long time. We have a hard time doing it. And I know Derek is into this game, and he's probably, as he's editing the episode, he was probably like, there, it's right there. Right there.
Yeah.
We were having such a hard time doing it. But I think that it's a really great idea and a great implementation of that type of deduction game, because it feels like, you know, all of those types, like Mastermind and things like that. But it's not that, right? And it's funny too, because in our video, we were like all on one side. We guessed in just this whole area.
I think at some point in the middle of that video joked, I'm like, it's going to be hilarious when it's over here. And then in fact, it ended up being over there.
Well, when I think I asked a question, and then you got it, and I had at the same time made that, I'm like, it's over here.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like I had the same kind of finally figured it out.
There's a Cryptid, like, cheat sheet on BGG, right? Someone created.
There's a bunch of them, I think.
Like a little deduction-y thing where you can kind of check stuff off. So you could do that if you really wanted to. And I kind of liked that you didn't need that.
Yeah.
And believe me, I have no problem with logic-y deduction games where you have got the big grid and you're crisscrossing and checking stuff off. My problem with that is that the bookkeeping errors can be lethal in games like that. And what's nice about this game, you can still make a mistake, unfortunately.
It can be a
But what I like is that everything is on the board.
Yeah.
So like.
Well, unless you start pulling stuff up, right? If you go as long as we did, where you started to pull up tokens, then you start to lose some of that information.
But it saves you not from the bookkeeping, because I don't mind the bookkeeping. What it saves you from is giving everybody like a privacy shield.
Oh yeah.
Right, where you have to hide all your stuff from everybody. That's what I liked about Cryptid was the need to we're playing this secret logic deduction game where everything's in the open. That's and I'm not even keeping track of anything over here. That was really kind of cool.
Yeah.
Mike, what were you going to say?
Well, looking on that, so I like there's an app. I like they have the hints for it.
Right.
And I really like the rule book. The rule book says this might not be the game for your group. I think they were really upfront about that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I think there's some really good mechanics in there. I think really good ideas. I think it's for the right group. It's great.
Candice?
I think it's pretty good too. When I had it, I liked it a lot, and I really I think it's really
I'm sorry. When I had it, I like that phrase.
Yeah.
Spoiler
I have
alert.
too many games. That's all. No, I really do like it a lot, and I'm really impressed with how it was developed. Because when you were saying that, Nikki, it kind of reminded me of last year's Micro Macro. Where I was thinking about how did someone make this game? It's really crazy. But yes, this struck me as a really refreshing deduction game.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool. And I played about 3 or 4 games, and I just have too many games, so I ended up passing it on. But I enjoy it.
It's just weird because we played another deduction game recently called Rear Window, and I can do all that stuff without a list. I have no problem. It's oh hey, blah blah blah, and it's easy for me to keep
Do you
track.
think it's the abstract shapes
I
that throw
have
you
no
off?
idea. I am absolutely a visually based person.
I remember because it stunned me that time because you're right, that is so not my image of you at all.
Well, like the one time when we were playing Mysterium, and I'm basically asleep.
Yeah.
We're doing it on a live stream.
Yeah.
And I'm asleep.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, hey Lincoln, what do you think? And I'm like, well, this is Nikki, and so this is red, and this is this, and I think I called it all. And Scott was like fighting me on that one. And I had the influence tokens or whatever that allowed me to actually make the decision on that, and I was correct. But it's.
And
those
then
kinds
fell
of,
back to sleep.
Yeah, those types of things are always.
That was schematic.
You're like,
exactly. Middle of the night.
You're like, I solved it. But back to the back to BGG. I think the community has done a great job. They've done a couple of different player aids with icons, non-icons,
Right.
Different translations. So I think they've done a great job to make this accessible
Sure.
for any title learner. Back to your abstract tokens. Yeah, maybe there needs to be a stop or some other.
I don't
clue.
want them to change it. I feel it's great.
Yeah.
It's just not me. It's like, and it's an odd thing. 'Cause
It is
really,
odd.
It feels. Maybe just more
We
familiarity
all have
with
our
all
own
the
little
que-
weird blind spots.
Just maybe
sometimes, right?
familiarity because I've only played it maybe four times.
I had similar issues because I had to compare the two. I'm like, what is this versus what is that? So I had the same issue.
All right, Candice. Of the other two, where do you want to go?
Let's go with Living Forest.
Okay.
Because I just played it recently.
Okay.
For the first time.
Specifically for this
Yeah.
show.
Nice.
Yeah, I ended up playing on Board Game Arena. I did a 4-player game, and then the next day spoiler alert, I liked it, so I wanted to play it again, and I played a 3-player game with 2 of the players
That
who
played
played
previously.
before. Yeah, we were like, let's do that again. And it's funny because just kind of, it's being nominated, so there's a bar there, but still I was just like, I went in with kind of low expectations. I didn't think it was going to kind of excite me. And then once I started playing and seeing how all the mechanisms kind of work together and the different player interaction, the way you're able to go around that rondel, and when you hop over someone, you get to take a token from them, and this whole push and pull, with that, especially when you get close to scoring at the end, taking a token from someone to prevent them from winning, or taking a token from someone to make yourself win is really cool. I like the kind of Mystic Veil, push your luck, flipping your cards, and, having, instead of kind of completely busting, just having that gamble of, do I want to push and risk only having one action?
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that there are a lot of different things that you can do in it, I could be starting the game with going tree strategy, going to try to plant 12 different trees. But while I'm building trees, it's giving me access to other special kind of abilities.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the things also that I love about it is when you buy cards from the market, that is kind of going to dictate how many fire tokens are going to get placed in the center. And just on the surface, this game looked like something that I was just going to be like, it's another game. But I actually really, really like it.
Well, I think the game's great. It's we played a half game with Scott, and this is before nominations, and we're like, wow, we didn't even finish it. We just packed it up and took it with us to do it on the show. And it's really cool. I think it has amazing art. It's a fun design. There are people that go on about the fire strategy, which we lost to Nikki on the fire strategy. You have to pay attention to it. There's no way.
I think that's a very common early first time, second time mistake, and I put that in quotes because you have to see it happen for you to go, oh, that happens.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Like the first time you play
can,
Dominion, that sort of happens, right? You can sit at that table and all of a sudden lose to someone across from you who is like, what just happened?
Well, the other thing is,
and then you realize
if you can dominate in that one, because you are getting more tokens, there's an opportunity for more tokens than the other, because you can only build one tree at a time. Maybe you can get it to where you can build 2. The thing that I actually love about this is the circle where you're moving. In a more crowded game, there's more leaping, and you can steal tokens from the other players. Because you say you have to build 12 trees, but you already start with 2.
Right.
So you're only building 10. But you could be stealing those tokens from another player, and that's actually cool. And it's fun to like look at that and go, oh man, if I could just do that and land on that, because there's actions on the board as well that are awesome. And that's one of the opportunities to buy 2 trees is on the board to do that. And then you can do with what you have is currency, but you can do, there's a tree that lets you build 2. It's the most expensive tree though. I mean, I don't think I've ever got to build that tree. Maybe once at the very end.
Or even sometimes there were times I wanted to like move forward on that rondelle, but only because I was trying to prevent someone else from easily jumping over me. So I'm like, I don't really want to do that, but I don't want them jumping over me.
Right.
So, really.
Was it the spirit circle?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Sacred, yeah.
The thing about Living Forest that you don't realize the first couple of times you play it is that it's faster than you think it's going to be.
Right.
I think it would not surprise me if the first time most people played this, when it ended, you say to yourself, wait, it's over now?
Right.
And that's not a bad thing at all. Once you realize that, again, I for whatever reason, I do a lot of Dominion comparison to this game, because the first time I played Dominion, by the time I thought I had all these cool cards and I was going to get my engine going, the game was over.
Yeah.
You're like, this is a much faster game than I thought. Now, I've never played a 4-player game. I've only played it 3-player and 2-player. And in a 2-player game especially, that spirit circle is almost not used. So I'm curious, in a 4-player game, I have to assume there's nothing but people moving on it constantly.
Yes. I mean, I was not doing a lot of that, and my second game I was like, okay, I better do some more rondelle jumping, but there was a lot.
The mix of the cards, that you have all those attributes for each card, or one, it depends on the card, but they separate them. So you're not going to get, like if you're going for the water strategy, you're not going to get a lot of movement potentially, and that's actually kind of an interesting. So in Dave's game, traditional Dave, he's going to go, I'm going to go for the flower strategy, which is a challenging strategy.
Right.
And he had to buy cards. He had to either buy trees that had flowers on them, and the weird one about that is they all have to come out
at the same.
Yes.
To get you
and
over.
so you have to have the ones on the board and any of the tiles that you have, and that's a challenging strategy. And so somebody's like, well, he should have been taking out the fire, and I'm like, you only have so many opportunities. It's the same with buying the trees.
Right.
Like if you're going to buy the trees, you must buy one every round, and more if at all possible.
Also, I'd never tried that strategy before, so it wasn't even like I was executing it correctly, is what I'm saying, right?
Right.
Like, just because I was trying and it didn't work doesn't mean it can't work.
We did have one mistake.
It just means I didn't figure it out.
You didn't actually have the damage correct for the fires. If you don't succeed,
that's true.
So Dave actually had more.
I made it worse.
Exactly. He had more of those cards in his hand.
But it didn't matter.
But that's what I also love about that game is the push your luck element, and like a bunch of cards. Like I'm like, I already played those cards, so I can keep going, right?
Yeah.
And then I end up going to the end and then reshuffling and continuing, right? Like then I'm pushing my luck into the second shuffle of the deck.
Well, that's the little. What are those little crosshatches?
We call them
the
bananas.
chicken feet. We call them chicken feet. So they're the fractures or something like that.
Yeah, fractures, shards or something.
Shards.
I think they're fractures.
Fractures, whatever. But that's one of those things that, again, on your first or maybe even your second play, you don't realize how really valuable actually those can be for throwing away.
Yes.
I mean, if for example you're trying to do the flower strategy, it occurs to me if I ever try that again, I probably want a lot of shards. That's how I'm going to get all my cards out, right? Is by just constantly throwing away cards that stop me. Mike, go ahead. You look like you're ready to say
love Living Forest. I love pressure luck games. I think the art is fantastic. I think there's a lot of strategy as we're talking the most about this game. And not only there's three different victory conditions. There's multiple ways of doing it. I think there's a lot of depth in the game that at the beginning you don't see. With the shards.
Yep.
Perfect way of doing it. I would play this game in a heartbeat anytime.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And can I just add something real quick?
Sure.
Just so everyone knows and everyone watching, I actually pulled 3 fire cards once. And it's like, and I had no fractures, so I just completely busted. Because I was like, one, I'm like, crap. And I'm like, well, I have to keep going or I have no actions, really.
Right.
Crap.
Wow.
So that's possible.
Rough.
Be careful.
Did it at least
Watch
give
out
you
for the fire.
Did it at least give you a better enough single action?
No, because
because
she
I
had
didn't
no
have
action
enough
cards.
resources.
Yeah.
Like, so I only had like one
On her
resource
trees.
from my tree.
Right, but she at least had 3 cards as opposed to 2. Right?
But it's 3
But
of
that
the
was
fire
one of my
cards.
only cards, so I couldn't take any action.
Oh, you mean just blank? Oh, fire
the-
cards.
yeah, those
the
fire,
bad-
though, like real bad
I misunderstood.
ones. Yeah.
Oof.
That's why. This
So
is
all
the
she would get is
Cannerspiel.
all that she would get would be what's on her trees.
Yes. And
So
that
any
wasn't
of that
a
stuff
lot
that
of
would be enough to get you maybe something.
And
That
that
is
was like
ridiculous.
us playing, like, that was the
Is
day
there-
2 where everybody's like, oh, being aggressive with the fire. Like, no.
Is there a way to get those fractures? Like, do you get that as a consolation prize if you fail?
You can always take
No.
one for your turn.
Yep. But I mean, after you flipped, my point
Yes.
is if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
busted.
it's a consolation prize.
Not even a consolation prize. You can always take that as one of your actions, is to take a shard.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so maybe I was able to take one.
That's
but
always a
still,
default action available
Yeah.
to you regardless of your cards.
It was
Yeah,
brutal.
okay.
Nikki, what do you think?
I like this game. I had fun playing it. The art is wonderful. I love the cards. I don't know. The rondelle is interesting because it really comes more into play the more players you have.
Yep.
Because we've played it several times with different numbers of people, and the smaller the group, kind of the
it's
more.
like Candice said, where
Yeah.
2, it almost doesn't
the
come into play.
rondelle is just for kind of forgotten because the whole point is to hop over people so you can steal their, their starting
Yeah,
tokens.
the tokens, yeah.
So that's interesting to me, and how many people you have playing with you makes that one little part of the game more or less important.
Right.
And then the drafting, I love the draft. Drafting's always fun. And
The drafting?
The cards you
the,
buy.
the layout of the
yeah,
cards, purchasing the cards
Yeah.
from the array. I mean, I've always started the game wanting to try to do like the trees or the flowers or the something different. And every time I've played, I fall into the whole fire thing.
Right.
I guess because maybe it's the simplest, the easiest, whatever, but somehow I end up getting so much water and stuff that the fire is great.
Well, you can't ignore it, as Lincoln said
Yeah,
earlier. So
yeah.
you're gonna probably get some anyway.
Right.
And maybe it just happens that the cards you get. I mean, obviously in our game we just sort of ceded that to you,
Well,
which
Dave
was
needed
dumb
to buy,
on our part.
So,
but-
but somebody's like, well, he needs to do this and not buy cards, right? That's how you counter that. Is you just don't let that much fire get in there.
Right.
But the thing is, then you're not buying cards every turn that
Right.
you have to do.
Well,
if
I
you're
need
gonna
to
go
buy
with that
flowers,
strategy.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
know.
The point is, we all want to play it again.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Lincoln,
Yes.
take us home with Dune Imperium.
Okay, well, Dune is a really fun game. It's long though. We played it with Aaron and Jackie last year about this time. I think the game is phenomenal. It's got a lot of stuff that I like, and I feel is a lot of fun to play. I just am not sure about it as a Kennerspiel winner. It's probably harder than for most families, like, because it's supposed to be the advanced level from these. That's why I was saying Cascadia, I feel like fits better in this category, but it's still a great game. So it's not, and with all the ways of playing it, as Mike says, it'll make it good. So it's in the right category, and this is in the right category. I just hope it has a chance. That's the thing. I feel like when you pick a game like this and it's like it can't win because it's too difficult, right? You know, there's the Deutscher Spieler Prize, which is more of a gamer game award, and this is if it didn't win last year, it will win this year. Or no, Arc Nova is probably going to win, but whatever. You know, I mean, it's like it's always those more powerful games, and I asked the judges, I'm like, is it a bummer that you pick those and you don't think they're going to get to win, right? I mean, I want all the games to have a chance, and I think this is a great game, and it's very exciting for this publisher. There's a lot of first-time appearances for publishers in here,
Right.
And it's awesome. It's just
Well,
awesome.
maybe that's part of it, is just promoting that game. I mean, first
I know,
off,
it's the
first
award,
off, it
the
might have a
nomination
chance,
is-
despite what you think, right? I mean, you're probably right.
Yeah,
because you
well, the
usually
jury's
are,
makeup
but,
is different. It has changed now.
but
a lot of new gamers.
But nominating the game for as being one of the three is different than putting it on the and also list.
Oh yeah,
Which still great to be on that and also list,
right.
because there's
Yeah.
the
usually
recommended list.
There's
Yeah.
usually great games on the recommended.
Sure.
Did you feel the same way about Time Stories when they nominated that?
No, I think Time Stories was. I felt that it was. It's a harder game, but I felt things have changed.
Yeah.
Like people felt like Gamer Games actually won the award 20 years ago, right? And they don't necessarily win now. And that's a disappointment. Like, in my opinion, pushing that over here is not necessarily right in that regard. Like, I feel that this should be an advanced category. I understand they don't want to tread on other people's feet, but, you know, with their basically doing the same award in Germany. So I don't know. That's what's the downer about this.
I know you like the split, though, right? I mean, I know you like that they made the two categories.
Oh, I agree, because number
that
one...
that was a fantastic move.
I think but what it ended up doing was making these much lighter,
right,
and then these much heavier. And it was Dominion that was the one that really kind of caused the uproar, because that game was too difficult for a SDJ award, right?
Interesting.
And a lot of people were disappointed, and I don't feel that's a difficult game.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff, but I don't think it's that difficult a game. And I honestly feel that's this game too, right? It's not really that hard. It's just a lot of elements. I love that the combat is not as horrible as it could be. You're just like, you know, you hold your ruler next to each other. Okay, I beat you. You know what I mean? And that's cool, you know? So that's okay with me.
I think Dune Imperium is a fantastic game. I think they did a really good remake of the original game. I think the art...
Do you think this is a remake of that game?
Yeah, I think it's... Yeah.
Well, I mean, because there is a new version of the original Dune. This is just another...
I think it's the next... let's say remake. Let's say it's a reinterpretation.
Yeah. Okay.
They were able to use the licensing from the movie, so they can use the art from that. Right. There's a wide variety of pictures and captures they can use, and the movie itself is so engrossing. The sound is fantastic.
We don't get that in this game.
I know, but I'm just saying that when I was playing it, I was remembering the times I was listening and watching the movie. So I think it does bring you back into it. When I'm comparing it, and again, I'm comparing to what the jury's hopefully thinking of these three games, this is extremely heavy, and I'm not sure it has a chance. I like the game.
It's a bummer, in my opinion.
But it's good that it's giving it marketing. It's saying this is another game out there. I'm not trying to compare it to the SDJ, but I don't know whether the other nominees in this Kennerspiel would be replacing it then.
Yeah. Well, this is exciting. This designer, Paul Denon, he's the head of, he's one of the main people at Direwolf, and he did Clank.
Yeah.
I mean, which is exciting. I mean, to see, this is a major step up. Like, this designer is now like huge on my radar. I cannot wait to see what he does next. Yeah. Because
Catacombs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's coming. It's
Dune
actually
Clank.
Literally coming from Clank.
Dune Clank.
Yeah.
I love Dune Imperium, and I guess I totally get what you guys are saying in terms of, you know, does it fit for the award? I don't know, but I think it's a great game. I disagree that it's related to the original Dune board game. Okay. Like, I think they're very different. Like, I don't think this one feels nearly as like thematic as the original Dune board game. Okay. I mean, you still definitely get the movie vibes with the characters and the different factions. But I guess what I love most about this, a couple things. I think it does a great job of blending worker placement and deck building, which are some of my favorite mechanisms, and I know a lot of people love deck building and worker placement. Yep. But then what I think, there's a tension every time I play it because of the way the victory point scoring works, you know? Since it's like first person to 10, it's not like let's all collect, we move up 100 points, this and that. It's like the first person to 10. So every single point you get is just like so meaningful. And I have had almost every single game, I think except my first game of this, it's so close and we're sweating and you know, you're like stressed out. And then there's the intrigue cards and the faction tracks where you can take a victory point away from someone. So there are like so many like really exciting things. And I agree, the combat is very simple and you can choose, you know, however many troops you want to kind of deploy out there. You can kind of see what other people are doing to see how much it makes sense to put someone like, let me see what Lincoln does. And then the whole hand management thing of, hey, I'm using my cards to deploy workers, but I'm also using these cards for combat or to buy cards. Super cool. I'm a big fan of this game, you know, whether it wins or not, because it's too heavy. It's a great game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I have fun with games when they are thick with theme. and I am a fan of Dune and the 80s movie and all that stuff. So to play a game that gets you, oh, look at this photo or the way they did his costume or it sucks me into the game and all of that. I found it interesting that it's an asymmetric game with your characters.
Asymmetric powers, yeah.
Yeah, the powers are asymmetric, so
that is, and those are. I mean, I don't play a lot of games like that, but yipes, it's actually pretty. They're different. Yeah.
To me, as soon as you throw the asymmetric into it, it's a harder game.
Yeah.
It's a denser game. You're not all on the same playing field, and as long as I know that coming into a game, I'm fine with it. But if it's a big surprise, I am not happy. But I enjoyed the game, and I understand where Lincoln's coming from, and it is a heavy game, and I don't know if a family who just finished Cascadia
that will at least be a little bit higher than maybe finishing Scout and then coming to this. Yeah.
And then trying to figure out the rules to Dune. I mean,
there's a lot.
There's a game night though that Aaron did.
There is, but to me, it's a gamer game. It's a seasoned game for gamers.
It's dense. You're right.
Yeah.
I went through the rules. Today it's very dense.
I mean, isn't that kind of what a Kennerspiel can be?
No. The Kennerspiel is the what do they call it? It's the connoisseur's game. It's not the gamer game because they're not here. I mean, you hear all the complaints about the SDJ nominations every year that they're they're not picking games like it should be a gamer game, and I'm like, that's not what. Now, that's not what was designed when that award was introduced. And as I was saying, the makeup of the jury has changed a little bit over the last few years, and there are more gamers on the jury. So maybe that now they don't. They want the award to be successful, right? That's part of the whole thing. So it makes you wonder what will happen with that.
So I have a question. So last year, Lost Ruins of Arnak was up. And how do you think that kind of compares to
That's
Dune
a much lighter game than Dune Imperium, in my opinion.
Think?
It's more apparent what's going on in that game.
Oh,
This one has... I mean, I like that you can do things that others... Like, oh, well, he's set for this. I mean, I kept doing like these power moves to get a specific amount of stuff to be able to do something elsewhere. And I think everybody was kind of shocked by that. But I ran out of steam on that, right? It was like I needed to be able to diversify and move to something else. I think I had I don't remember what my faction was, but it was weaker. It was like a thing that I don't even know if I ever actually got to exploit my power. Gotcha. Because it was very difficult to be on the council, to do the stuff on the council.
Let me ask you this question. So, Last Ruins of Arnak, I think, is on BGA. Okay? Do you think do you think Dune Imperium will ever be on BGA? I mean, that could answer your question right there, right?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of heavy games on BGA now, though.
I guess that's
true. I guess in my head, they're not that far apart in terms of complexity and... I don't remember anybody ever bringing that up for that one, but like to me, they're just like it's a deck builder
here's the deal.
placement.
I felt last
but I understand what you're saying, especially with the asymmetry and more choices in this one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to do a lot more teaching. I can teach Lost Ruins of Arnak pretty straightforward. I can't teach this yet. Again, it's very dense. There's a lot going on.
Aaron did a good job on it too. We were lucky.
Interesting. Okay.
It's challenging, and we had Jackie who had also played it, and she was very excited to play and. Hoping, she's not one on the show yet, and it was just, she said it after the fact, I'm like, I felt bad, because it's like, she's a great player, and she deserves to win, but she's also up against Aaron, who's a very good player.
Yes.
He picks like what he loves, which is cards, games that give you cards. He loves the intrigue cards and stuff like that, and that's powerful. Like
having not played it, is the asymmetry give it replay value to you guys?
I absolutely believe so, but I feel you kind of want to, I don't know if there's I don't know if any faction is inherently weak or anything like that, but you kind of want to play the same one to try to be able to win on that one.
Right.
And you're never going to completely replicate the situation like who you're playing. So it's like, am I actually better on it this time, or did I just get lucky because these people didn't know what to do?
Or did I just get the right cards when I needed to draw cards?
I mean, I love, and the cards, like Candice was talking about, like the the multi-uses of those cards is great. Cool. It's a really fun element of the game. Like, any game where you're like, I really want to keep this card.
Yep.
You know, like
But-
When you have to make those horrible
we made
decisions.
Marvel
It's
Champions.
fantastic.
We played
Right.
Marvel Champions, and it's at least the things repeat in the deck a little bit more. It's your deck, and it's
Yeah,
not that bad.
yeah.
But in this game, you may never see that card again,
Right.
and it's like, I don't think you will. It's very unlikely that you'll see the card again.
Yeah.
That's a perfect idea for text on a card. There should be a card just called "You may never see this card." again. That's a great idea for a card.
Yeah.
There's a ton of replay. There's all the factions. There's multiple factions, and there's ones there's starter cards. and
Yeah.
then
Market cards, lots of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of replay value.
I mean, this
Absolutely.
is so exciting that this is even in the nominations.
Yeah.
Though. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing Dire Wolf do this, and I love what they're doing.
Well, here's what's interesting. Thematically, I think we've talked longer about the Kennerspiels,
Yeah.
thus proving that they are slightly deeper games than the.
For sure, there's
True.
more stuff, more shades of things going on in
And
them.
we enjoy these games more, so we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we're
I don't
gamers.
know, Scout Mike.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I
Scout
can
is
turn you on
gold,
Scout
yeah.
someday.
I don't think you're ever going to
No,
turn
I
on
don't
that
think
You're
kind.
gonna, yeah, every time I play Scout,
That
it's gonna
type
be
of game.
Dave
not
100,
his
Mike
thing.
0.
Yeah.
All right, last thoughts on either of these, on Dune Imperium, Living Forest, or Cryptid before we
Last
vote?
thought is, I wonder if, because I know, like, I'm a Clank fan,
Blank.
I know this is like, a few ticks more complex
for
than
sure.
Clank, but I still I don't know, I don't consider it that heavy of a game, and I haven't really had anyone.
You are a heavy
I can play
gamer.
A little bit more
You are a
heavy,
heavy
yeah.
gamer, so
Yeah.
But that's a good
you are
opinion, though.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that hard. I've played harder games for sure. I just feel what you're getting in this game as a new gamer,
Yeah.
and that's just, I don't know. It's weird. I almost feel like at this point in time they might as well just make a third category and make a heavier games. I don't know. The problem is they have to play test these games.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I'm sure this year's better than it was the previous year because of the pandemic. They play test and they hand the game to people and they put,
They don't teach it.
yeah, they
either.
generally aren't
They're
supposed to
like,
teach it. You're supposed
figure
to
it
learn.
out.
You're supposed to learn it from the
Yeah.
rules.
Right.
And
Because that's part of
That's
goes
part of
part
it.
of the vote is how
Yeah.
good are how well are the rules
I
written?
mean,
Are they
it
can
would be
follow them?
exciting if this wins. I just don't see it happening,
Yeah.
right? And I if it does, fantastic. Like it's changed the nature of the awards.
So when I'm thinking about Living Forest, the rules are good. There's some little things they can tweak in there when we have some questions, where I think Cryptid's rules, and they have an app for it, are fantastic.
Yeah.
I
Sure.
compare the two.
I agree. There are a lot of examples. It's very sort of clear. There's a lot of sort of cheat sheety stuff just in the rules. Just the back part of the rule book is really, really helpful.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you just want to have a sheet of that.
Yeah.
All right.
Gamegenic Ingenious Supplies.
So, ready to vote?
Well, first we're going to choose what
Yep.
we.
Okay, so first
What
we're
are we
going
doing?
to Kennerspiel.
This, okay.
You're going to point to the game that you want to win. Not the game you think they're going to pick,
Right.
but the game that you want to win.
Okay.
All right? And
Okay.
we're going to count down. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, point.
Okay.
All right? You got your choice? You got your choice?
Yep.
Yep.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, point. All right. We've got 2 Dune Imperiums, 2 Living Forests, and the Cryptid. Wow, we are all over the board.
Yeah.
Nikki, you're the only one that picked Cryptid. We'll
Yes.
start with you.
Every reason I gave before.
All right, Dylan. Lincoln.
Basically the same thing. I think it's a really, really amazing game and it's exciting.
And you want to see a game like this win, right?
I think so.
That would be cool,
yeah,
right? It would
exactly.
set also a very cool precedent
Yeah.
that a game like this can win.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what you
Yeah,
feel?
exactly. I think it's the same thing. Great game.
Back to what you said earlier, maybe if the jury is changing, this would be a great way to say that
Right.
it's changed from we had the heavier against before to lighter, and maybe we're going back to a little more heavier. I love Living Forest.
It's funny. So obviously I haven't played Dune Imperium, so my choice is really just between the two. And between Living Forest and Cryptid, Cryptid was sort of cool and different and does its thing well. This felt both new and throwbacky to me. Like this sort of felt like an old game, but also like a new version of an old game, and I really like that. Now, will I be playing it 5 years from now? I don't know, but I'm intrigued by it, and I want to come back to it, and so that's why it's my pick. Okay, so that's...
This is the challenge, though. Now this is the tough one. I mean, we always say it's tough with what we think the jury's going to pick.
Now we're going to pick what we think the jury will pick.
That's...
Right. You got your choice?
I have a good record in picking the winners, and I think I'm going to have a tough time.
I have a middling record, but for me, I'll just say before I even point, I think this is an easy pick to me.
That's
what I think.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll see.
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, point. Yeah. All right. I don't think we need.
I mean, I think the
we
game
all
is
pick
great.
everything for us.
It's literally an exciting game, but if I was able to choose, I would
Right.
just to make it, you know.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I think it's a great game.
All right. Let's move over to here.
That was easy.
Yeah, we didn't need to talk about it.
Yeah, we really don't. All right. Let's move over to here.
This was
so
hard.
we're going to vote for the
Yeah,
game
this is hard.
that we want to win, not the one we think the jury's going to pick.
Right.
And if you really want, the 4 of you can just go ahead because I think we all know where I'm pointing. So, do you have your choice?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, point. All right, 4 scouts and a Cascadia mic or top 10?
Top 10.
Top 10,
Top
okay.
10.
4 scouts and a top 10.
All right, well, we know what you felt about that. So you think top 10 is, you'd pick
I
that over
really enjoy
Cascadia.
top 10, yes.
That makes sense.
I like top 10.
And obviously, that's okay.
Yeah,
we
I'm saying of
went-
these 3 games, I think top 10, I like them.
Yep,
And,
and of
I
course,
understand
Every
why
time
you
I
guys love
played this,
Scout.
other than the one time on the episode, I just love this game. I think it's really amazing. I love seeing Oink in this category.
Yep.
It's so fantastic.
All right, well, that was the easy vote.
Yeah.
Here comes the hard
Yeah,
one.
this is a challenge.
Now you're going to pick the game you think the jury will pick.
Right.
All right, you got your choice?
Yep.
You got your choice?
I'm gonna. It's yeah.
I know. That's again. I don't know if
It's
I'm
gonna be
Here
3,
we go.
2, 1,
Ready?
and wherever.
3, 2, 1, point. Okay, we have 2 scouts, 2 Cascadias, and a
top 10.
All right, Mike, you think they'll pick top 10 over the other 2?
Yes, I think they will.
That's cool.
I think
It'd be awesome.
it's more approachable than Scout, and I talked about I think that they're going to continue with the party game things over Cascadia. Top 10 is easier for families than Cascadia.
All right, Nikki, why are they going to pick Cascadia over the other 2?
I think Scout might be a little difficult family gamey.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with trick-taking games in any form.
Well, Germany's definitely better about the
yeah.
card games for sure.
Top 10 only because I think they need to break the streak of always picking party games for that
Yeah.
No, interesting.
category.
True.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well,
I
it was
don't know.
You're playing the meta vote. You're factoring everything
sort
in.
of.
Hey,
I think the same
that's
thing, but
great.
I don't
that's what you're
feel.
supposed to do, right?
I don't feel last year's was a party game though. Micro macro.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it
I was
isn't a
thinking
party game.
pictures of the year before.
Yeah,
Right.
pictures was the year before.
Yeah, that's right.
I think Cascadia is great, and I think that
It's
as I
certainly
said,
the more
it's
traditional of the
it's
3.
Yes.
but additionally,
Yes.
it's the new
Yes.
the new makeup of the jury. I think that that's a game that they would pick. I think that signals that they're serious about a slightly deeper game, and then they'll probably. I mean, hopefully, I would really. I mean, as much as I love this game, I actually want Living Force to win.
Yeah.
Right?
If they pair them, that says they're into nature.
Yeah.
Right.
Would you look at them?
Yes.
Yes, there you go. They're there.
Yeah, I'm changing my vote.
Yeah.
All right, Candice,
Right? You kinda
why
want
do you
that
think
to-
the jury will actually pick Scout?
I think Scout is just such a banger. Like everybody I've shown it to, it just spreads and spreads, and I don't think that I've seen that kind of spark, at least from my perspective, with Cascadia.
Yep.
But like again, my mom got hooked on it really easy.
That's neat.
She got it, and now she has her own copy of it. I just think it's just more of a banger, and I don't think it's that hard to get, and I think it's fun
Well, I'm willing to admit that I actually think the jury is going to pick Cascadia,
because of my little.
but I
nature.
could not abandon Scout.
Yeah.
I gave it my vote
that
anyway.
That could be your failure. Remember, I was
Right.
the mind. I could not. I'm like,
Right.
they have to pick the mind, and
Yeah.
they did.
I'm sticking with it.
I
don't blame you.
I think you're likely correct because this of the 3 definitely feels like the more traditional choice,
Yes.
and not to metagame it myself, but
It's not-
It feels like maybe this year they would go back to something
It's not
like that.
too light, right?
Right.
It can be lighter,
Yes.
and it's not too light. I chose this as the one I would pick, right? I love Scout. I think it's amazing, but Cascadia is just. It seems like the right choice. I don't know, As I said, I thought it would be a lock if it was in this category. I feel.
Which one did Lama win that year?
Llama didn't win.
Oh, Llama didn't win?
Yeah,
I thought it won
no.
And I think
something. It was
Llama
just dominated.
is a very deceptively good game.
Okay,
Oh, I love
but was
Llama.
that in this
It's no
category?
Scout,
or
Mike.
was
Yes.
it, okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I don't think it is as.
Oh.
I don't think it is as good.
I
as
didn't think
I
you would.
said, hey, Llama.
I don't think it is as good.
But
as
I don't remember actually what won that year, but it was definitely not Llama. I
Was
remember.
that the year of the mind?
No, I didn't win.
No.
I remember Candice coming. He comes dressed up to the awards. It's so awesome. And he had like he looked like he was riding a llama. You know, he had
Oh,
this-
really? Oh,
yeah.
he's like costumed up,
yeah.
not
Yeah.
dressed up like
Yeah.
a tuxedo.
Well, he always wears. He's always dressed up nice, generally at the
Right.
cons and stuff. But when he goes to the awards, he's dressed for the game that is nominated, which was awesome. But yeah, I think I don't know. It's always interesting to see what they choose, and it is we met a bunch of new people this time at the award the BGG Con Spring, and 3 new jurors that I didn't know, and they're all relatively new, and it was interesting to see. They were excited and watched us on all these things and asked us what we thought, and I was like, huh. And I have no idea. I mean, I love it because they know it's important in Germany. This is an important award
Right.
for that industry, and that's cool. I love it. I love that I wish we had something that had that kind of heft and drew enough attention. Like, the news actually shows up for the SDJs.
Well,
Do
board
they
games,
show up at the stuff for the here? I
But
don't
board
know.
games are. We've been saying this forever, right? Board games are just thought of differently there anyway than they are in the United States.
Sure, but
right?
they're probably. I mean, you wonder if it's changed because video games are massive everywhere, and I'm
Right.
sure it's slightly different, but it's kind of now like an underdog thing, and it's not just guaranteed. But the joke was about Catan is like everybody in Germany probably owns a copy, right?
Right.
Or
And
two.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, they've had it like on pizza boxes and stuff
Well,
like
I
that.
bet
Catan.
I will bet you that not in the United States necessarily, but I will bet you in Germany or maybe Europe in general. I will bet you the pandemic probably helped a lot of people start to play board games again.
For sure.
Right.
That if anything, the content creation blew up because people didn't have anything to do, and they started doing, and all kinds of great stuff's out there.
Yeah.
So it's actually an exciting time for board games. I love that there's all this positive stuff going on with the hobby, and lots of great stuff.
All right, that's our 2022 Spiel des Jahres special. We talked about the games. Hey, what do you think is going to win? Why don't you put your thoughts in the comment section below? Tell us the games that you think the jury's going to pick. Maybe the games you think you would pick. And
Maybe games that should have been on there.
yeah, sure. Games that you think were. I mean, there are plenty of games in the recommended
yeah.
list that are also really, really great.
So clever.
If you like this video, why don't you consider please subscribing to our channel? If you click that little bell, then you'll get notifications when we put up new videos. Thanks for watching. Come back again.
Bye.